happening around reparations. Some of the folks out there are really being progressive in terms of really pushing forward with the wealth that was stolen from Black people over hundreds of years. They actually came up with this proposal that kind of blew my mind of $5 million payments to every single person in the city of San Francisco who is a descendant of slaves. I think it's amazing. I think it's extraordinary. I think that you have to identify as Black and things like that. You can't move to the city, so don't try to move to San Francisco and go get your money. But I'm really, really happy that San Francisco is trying to set a precedent for the rest of the country. Now, I saw something that really kind of blew my mind a little bit, kind of took me aback. And I'm hoping I'm wrong on this. I really am. I've been trying to look through stuff and figure out what's going on, where the inconsistencies are. But Raheem Shabazz, a buddy of mine who made a film called Elementary Genocide, it's a great series. You should check it out. Raheem puts this letter up, and it looks like it's a letter from the NAACP in San Francisco. And in this letter, and I'm going to read this letter to you. I'm trying to figure this out. They're claiming that the NAACP in San Francisco is against the $5 million reparations payment. They just literally said, don't pay people this money. Instead, put it into programs and all this other stuff and everything else. Now, I hope this isn't true. Newsweek is reporting this. Raheem had this letter up there. I'm hoping that it's fake news. I really do, because if it is true, then I think this really is just yet another reason to really start talking about the fact that Black people struggle, the Black community struggles around the world and in this country because you have bad leadership. You have ineffective leaders who don't really represent your interests. And so right now, let me just say this before I read this letter. Let me say this very, very clear. I'm going to make this abundantly clear. First of all, you can do both. You can support programs and you can give people payments. You don't have to pick one or the other. That's the first thing. You can support the programs and you can give people the cash, right? Both of those things, right? The second piece of this too is that if I had to make a choice between letting fake Black leaders take money on behalf of the community that we don't know what's going to happen with that money. We don't know where that money is going to be invested. We don't know whose pockets that money is going into, versus giving that money directly to Black families so they can make the best moves for themselves and choose what they want to support. Y'all know where it is. Y'all know where my opinion stands. Y'all know what I believe. I believe one of the biggest problems you have in this country, and I'm not talking about the San Francisco NAACP in particular, maybe they're doing good work. I don't know any of these people. I'm not dissing them. I'm just making this point. But at the end of the day, part of the reason your community struggles is because your leaders suck. Your leaders are garbage. Most of your leaders that you see on TV are bought and paid for Negroes who are basically designed to drive the bus off of a cliff. And so, for example, let me give you a real life example. Remember when Black Lives Matter came out and all these corporations say, we want to support Black people, so we're going to make a donation to Black Lives Matter. So they're writing these $5 million checks, $10 million checks, $20 million checks. Every corporation in America was trying to sort of make amends with Black people by writing checks to Black Lives Matter. Anybody remember that? Anybody remember that? Give me a yes if you remember that, how that happened during the pandemic. How many of y'all saw any of that money? How many of y'all got a check from Black Lives Matter? How many of y'all got some land? How many of y'all got business loans? How many of y'all got grants? How many of y'all got any money? Did anybody see in a nickel of that money? Did anybody see any of that money? Anybody? I ain't see none of it. I didn't get any of it. Does anybody live in a neighborhood that suddenly got better because suddenly all the $100 million of infrastructural investment was made in that community because Black Lives Matter arranged for the funding? Anybody? No. And let me explain this. This is where I'm going to put on my finance professor hat. I actually literally have a hat called my Black finance professor hat. And I put this on when I start talking like a Black finance professor. Every now and then it literally says Black finance professor because I have a PhD in this stuff. And let me just tell you this. There was a conservative theory that was basically false in the 1980s that was circulating. It was a bunch of nonsense, and it was called trickle-down economics. Trickle-down economics was this BS that said if you give it to the people at the top, they're going to trickle it down to the people at the bottom. Anybody remember that? Anybody remember trickle-down economics during the Reagan administration? Oh, well, if we take care of the job creators and the wealth, they don't call them rich people, they call them job creators. If we take care of the job creators and cut taxes for the job creators, then that'll trickle down to the working class and trickle down to the poor. Did trickle-down economics actually work? Anybody, any hands? Y'all need me to break it down for y'all real quick? You know where this is going. Trickle-down economics did not work. It was a garbage policy that destroyed this country. The reason the government debt is over $32 trillion right now, last time I checked, is because of things like trickle-down economics. Rich people don't trickle down nothing. That's why they rich. You don't get rich by keeping holes in your pocket. You don't get rich by giving your money away. You don't get rich by letting money slip through your fingers. Now that might make you a member of the black community, because our money slip right through. The little Arab guy put the little corner store up. He'll suck up all the black money. Then you got the Asian nail salon, right? So the money trickles out of our hands. But rich people, they rich because they don't trickle their money down. Well, guess what? There is a liberal version of trickle down economics also. That the liberal version of trickle down economics comes in the form of bad leadership. So you get you get your symbolic leaders, your Al Sharpton types and people like that, and these people at the top get paid, they get money, they get donations, they get to go jack up corporations and shake them down and get money out of those companies, and somehow that money never trickles down to you. It never trickles down to you. It never gets to the people who really need it, the people who deserve it. So here's what I believe. Here's what I'm saying. Any reparations plan, that is going to be effective, needs to have that wealth and those resources go right to the families. Right to the families. And don't you dare for 1 second try to claim. And I'm gonna read this letter that I saw on Raheem Shabazz's page from the NAACP, hoping that it's not true. But don't you dare for 1 second act like you need to be somehow the guardians of the black community. You ain't no damn guardians, because you ain't been guarding nothing. You don't deserve to be the guardian. You're like the long lost baby daddy who's coming back after 25 years claiming that you were there raising the baby. You wasn't raising the baby. You wasn't doing nothing. You ain't guarded nothing. You ain't represented nothing. So no, that money should go to the families. Don't tell me, oh, well, we need to manage the money, because if you give the money directly to black people, they're going to spend it. Well, so what? It's their right to spend it if they want to. They can spend it if they want to. And guess what? A whole lot of them are going to invest it and do a better job of getting that money right to the people who need it than you will. They're going to get it to their kids. They're going to go buy a house with it. They're going to go start a business with it. They're going to have some financial security with it. Some things that you have never, ever provided, you cannot provide, and you will not provide, because we know that you're working for those white folks who got you that job in the first place. You are a high-paid employee. You are not a leader. You are incapable of doing anything of significance for the black community. You've proven that time and time and time and time again, period. I digress. Let's move on. Take 1 quick second. If you could, please hit the thumbs up button, share, subscribe. In case you wonder, I have to do this because we're building black-owned media. I'm not like Tyler Perry. I don't have Lionsgate. I'm not like the people in Hollywood. I don't have a major corporation backing me up. We are doing this grassroots. I need your support. So if you could share this video, if you could hit the like button, if you could subscribe, if you could hit the thumbs up button, the notification bell, all those little things are really, really helpful, because we got to negotiate with this thing called the algorithm that doesn't like conversations that get a little bit too black. Also, I have a new book, and we as a community put this on. It's #1 of the Amazon's bestsellers list. It's called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. You guys know my PhD is in finance. I was the only black man on the planet to get a PhD in finance in the year 2002. To this day, there's nobody else that year who got that degree. So I know what I'm talking about. I wrote this book for you, specifically for black folks. It is a specific blueprint training manual for any black family that wants to build generational wealth, any black family that wants to break generational curses, any black family that wants their family to get ahead, that wants their children and grandchildren to be on top. So if you love your kids and you want ideas that are going to make them strong, then feel free to go take a look at this book. You can get a copy either at my website, boycewatkins.com, or you can get it on Amazon. The reviews are very, very good. I know you're going to like it. Let's move on. Reparations. Let me read this letter. Let me read the Newsweek article, and I'm gonna read this letter, and then I'm hoping I'm wrong, right? I'm hoping maybe I'm misconstruing things. And if somebody from the NAACP in San Francisco sees this, I know that my word can travel pretty far. If they see it, don't think I'm hating on you. Maybe I'm missing it. I don't know, but I had to share this with you guys because I couldn't believe it. All right, so this is what Raheem Shabazz put on his page. Everybody should follow Raheem. His documentary Elementary Genocide was extraordinary. All right, so it says here, the title of this letter, it looks like a press release from the NAACP San Francisco branch. It says San Francisco NAACP rejects $5 million reparations payment to blacks. They said calls for reparations to focus on investments and opportunities in 5 key areas at the Board of Supervisors meeting on reparations today, which today is March 14th. So that will be yesterday because today is March 15th. They said here that the San Francisco NAACP today called upon the Board of Supervisors to reject a one-time $5 million reparations payment to blacks, but instead called upon the city to make investments in 5 key areas to atone for a history of racism, discrimination, and mistreatment. Now, first thing I'm just going to throw out there is, why can't you do both? Why does it have to be one or the other? And why in the world? I mean, Lord